This is Joshua Hart here for Seconds Out. Delighted today to be joined by British title challenger on July 20th, Mr. Brad Pauls. Brad, it's a pleasure to have you on today. And how is life treating you?
Yeah, life's good. Thanks for having me on. 4 weeks, well, 3.5 weeks out in the thick of camp, but only happy, mate. Good.
Well, obviously, like you mentioned, in the thick of camp, July 20th, you rematched Nathan Heaney following the Fight of the Year contender first time round. Looking back on the first fight now, and obviously I'm sure you've reviewed your performance from that night. How do you reflect on it?
Um, I take some positives. I'm very critical of myself a lot of the time, which most boxers are. Obviously, it was my first 12 rounder, so that was a new experience for me. Another time on the big stage with the lights, the cameras, and the big audience. Obviously, coming from a small hall, so yeah, there's a lot of positives I took from it, and I feel like it's going to help me going forward. All the experience from that first fight.
And how do you feel the decision should have gone? There was a lot of back and forth opinions between people ringside and across the arena. But as the fighter in there, how do you feel the decision should have gone?
I feel like I just done enough to nick it. Like I know it's close. I'm not delusional. I'm going to say I smashed it all one sided. It wasn't. It was back and forth. He did bow early. I can one strong later on. I feel like yeah, a few things like it's no robbery or nothing like that, but I'd say injustices in the fight. Obviously, the gum shield situation, there was a bit of holding. But I don't really like to talk about it and whinge about it. I'm just happy I've got the rematch, and I doubt if that happens again. So I'll get another chance.
Were you surprised at all when the offer came through for the rematch?
Yeah, I was actually because at this time you see all sorts on social media, and he planned a fight in the Stoke Stadium, um, and then the thought of the rematch sort of fizzled out for a couple of weeks, and we started to plan other stuff. Um, and then yeah, I guess the other fight fell through, and the stars aligned for me to get another shot. And I think TNT liked it, and Frank liked it, so I guess that's why we're doing it again.
And what can you take away from that first fight heading into this rematch on July 20th?
I belong at that level definitely. My engine's probably a bit better than I thought. I feel like I know I have the power to hurt Nathan. Not necessarily vice versa. And yeah, I genuinely am excited about the fight. I really look forward to it. So yeah, I think it's going to be a similar like before, the same but a little bit better.
Do you feel now that you've shared those 12 rounds with Nathan, it makes preparing for him in this training camp a bit easier?
Yeah, because it's more familiar. It's more known. You sort of know what you're up against, and there's only so much Nathan could possibly change in the 3 to 4 months between fights. Um, so yeah, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't confident. Um, but yeah, it's exciting.
And what do you need to do to get victory on July 20th? And I guess you could say right the wrongs of the first fight.
Yeah, I think I'm not going to come out and change my style completely 100%. I'm not going to come out boxing like Mayweather or anything like that. It's never going to happen. But I think it's similar to before, but maybe a little bit better. Um, yeah, that's we've got a few things to work on in camp, and Terry's been really thorough with some of the intricate techniques and tactics we're going to use, but similar to before, but slightly better is the plan.
And we know that Nathan is a huge ticket seller. When you were first ring walking in that fight and you've seen the atmosphere that he's brought, is that something, even though the fans were mainly there for him, is that still something you can thrive off?
Yeah, it's like I said before, it's all energy, and like it genuinely don't bother me at all. Like I quite don't mind being the villain. It's not like personal to me. Obviously, they just want their guy to win. But if you was there on the night, you could still hear quite a lot of the Cornish lot, even though they was outnumbered massively. And there'll be a few more there this time. So I was listening out for them. But at the end of the day, they can't get in the ring and fight for us. It's all just energy, and it's just adds to the atmosphere. I think it's gonna be a good night.
Well, moving forward, sticking in the middleweight division, your home, we saw the European title clash go down this just previous weekend between Tyler Denny and Felix Cash. What did you make of the fight?
Um, a couple of things. I think Denny's improved a lot, definitely. Even since we boxed, obviously, I know Felix. I know him from the amateurs, and I've sparred him a few times, and he didn't look the same to me. He wasn't as resilient. He got rocked a few times. He was a bit easier to hit. For whatever reason that is, maybe the timeout or, but yeah, credit to Denny. He's gone and he's took these hard fights back to back to back. Bit of a story, and yeah, fair play to him. Well done, mate. He's on a run.
And what does the future hold for Tyler now? Obviously, that's the first defense of his European title. What should, if you were Tyler Denny, what would you be wanting next?
Yeah, I find it strange he ain't got the British. So I mean, how many good domestic fights he's had? So you feel like he deserves to have the British, but for Denny, well, it depends what he says. He wants the money out of it. He likes the money, so I guess a world title shot's well within his reach, especially from European upwards. There's all sorts out there. Janabek, there's loads. So yeah, it's up to him if he was coming back down to domestic level. Or was he past it now? Domestic, is he moving on? I suppose it's up to him. He's got the power, he's got the options, he's got himself in a good position. So choices is.
And then what about for Felix Cash? We know this event was billed by Matchroom as his comeback. There was a lot of talk in the build-up about moving him onto world level after this fight, especially looking at an Amo Williams fight. But the plans have seemed to have backfired a little bit. What does the future hold for Felix Cash now?
Only he knows deep down. Only he really knows, and he knows what he's got left. He knows what he did in the camp for that fight. He knows the lifestyle he's lived the last couple of years. Is he going to come back and say at world level? It's not looking likely. Could he come back and win some domestic titles possibly? But you don't know the full story and what's really gone on. So he's same age as me, but he seems to be taking a toll on him in his career. So you don't know.
And for yourself, if you win on July 20th and claim that British title, would you want to look at the unification, I guess you could say, with the British and European against Tyler Denny in a rematch?
I would absolutely love it. Yeah, I'd love to give a good account of myself. Obviously, and it's easy to say this, like fighters say it like, but if you look at me versus Denny versus me against Heaney, it's completely different. I feel completely different. And it's an absolute blessing in disguise that I lost to Denny, because from that loss, I went back and stripped everything back, and I've added nutritionists, mindset coaches. I just lived the life fully, completely. And you can see the improvements. It's sort of set up this way for me. So I'd love to do it again and see how different it would be when it's my genuine best.
Would you almost say, obviously, while you know you've made a huge improvement from that first fight with Denny, you could also say the same that Tyler's also come on leaps and bounds since that first fight?
Yeah, I think yeah. We'll see if we fight. We'll see who's made the most improvements. I think it would sell well. It's obviously got a bit of a story, and them sort of domestic fights people enjoy. I think, especially at that level, a British champion and a European champion, easy one to sell, really.
And then just moving forward, there's been some headlines this week in boxing, particularly around Tyson Fury. He's broke his silence on the Usyk fight. He's come out in a recent interview with his brand Furiosity. And one of the big lines that I guess a lot of people have took attention to is him claiming that the Usyk fight was too easy and like boxing a local amateur. When we sit back and read those types of statements, what do you make of it?
You don't know whether he's doing it just to get the headlines and get people talking, which he does, obviously works. Or is that how he mentally copes with what happened, how he personally deals with it? Is Usyk's not that much better than me. I was cruising it for most of the fights. People deal with it in different ways. You don't really know what the motive is, whether it's to grab a headline or that's what he genuinely thinks. I did think he was doing well, Fury, for a lot of the fight. Like, he didn't look bad like he did against Ngannou. I do think the rematch would be interesting. But yeah, I don't think it was that easy. I don't think it's ever easy to box Usyk, is it? It's graft.
Do you feel it could have almost been something maybe to hope that Usyk sees it and almost get in his mind a little bit?
Yeah, like that's like Fury. He's like that, but I don't think you can get in Usyk's mind. I think it's bulletproof. What an absolute beast of a guy. Like, all the mind games and stuff. And Fury can normally work on most of his opponents, but not on Usyk. He's just a different breed of a guy, just different level.
And what does Fury need to change heading into the rematch for December 21st?
Um, I suppose you just can't switch off for milliseconds. Like that's all Usyk needs, and he's not like a big concussive puncher, but enough that it can cause you damage. If he can get him out of there before he has a chance to get back on top. So it's still intriguing as a rematch because I still think anything can happen. That's why the heavyweights are so good. I think Fury, it's not out of the question he could win in the rematch at all.
And then just lastly, another big headline we've seen, a man who's been taking the headlines for a while now, Mr. Ryan Garcia. It's been announced that he has been banned from boxing for 1 year following a settlement with the New York State Athletic Commission. A lot of people seem to think the 1 year ban is a little bit too light. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think it's definitely like just because he's rich and famous, don't give him an easier touch. If you you can't do stuff like that in boxing, and you've made an example of like it's dangerous to be taking one stance and drugs in boxing just because he has followers and stuff like this. Yeah, that should have been a 3 to 4 year, 5 year ban max. Because it's going to discourage everyone else from doing it. There's no place for that in boxing.
Do you feel it's something not just in this case, but something in all drugs cases? Because we see a lot of tests come back positive and then they don't get the longest suspension. Do you think there should be a set in stone rule that if you fell for a performance enhancing drug, you should get X amount of years banned?
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? I suppose every single one's different. And then in what drug was it? Like, say if a fighter accidentally had a Lemsip and he wasn't educated, and should he get a 10-year ban? Like, probably not. Do you know what I mean? But then if someone's who was it? Like Jarrell Miller, who was 3 different drugs and it was needle in the bum sort of stuff. Get rid of him. Just be gone. Can't come back. You're done. So there should be. It's subjective, but it's got to be harsh because if you're going to think about doing it, you need to know that your career's over if you get caught. It's done.
Well, Brad, I think that's a good place to leave it. Thank you very much for your time today here on Seconds Out, and best of luck on July 20th.
Nice one, Josh. Appreciate it, mate.